You know, the beauty of everything that we've shown you today is that it's all free.
Yeah.
You know, we like to think about the Center for Innovation as the launching pad. So if you don't have any money and you just have a curiosity or an imagination, come down here and get started.
Yeah.
You know, it's a place where you can find all of the tools. It doesn't cost you to experiment and play. And it may be that you come up with an idea that is the next great innovative piece, and then you can go up to Startup Junkie, and they can help take you to that next level.
Yeah,
so we're just a starting place for that.
Yeah, I love that.
And then the courses to get certified on all of the equipment,
Right.
you can take that and build a career off of that.
Sure,
I mean,
absolutely.
with all of the different
Absolutely.
technology in here. So,
Yeah.
so many aspects of the expansion are dual purpose for the community, but it really, you can utilize it to
Improve
build a
your quality
career.
of life no matter where you are in
Right.
life.
That was David Johnson and Heather Robideau giving us a behind-the-scenes tour of the Fayetteville Public Library expansion. Folks, you do not want to miss this episode. There is so much great information. We can't wait to share it with you. So without further ado, cue the music.
It's time for another episode of I Am Northwest Arkansas, the podcast covering the intersection of business, culture, entrepreneurship, and life in general here in the Ozarks. Whether you are considering a move to this area or trying to learn more about the place you call home, we've got something special for you. Here's our host, Randy Wilburn.
Hey folks, and welcome to another episode of I Am Northwest Arkansas. I'm your host, Randy Wilburn, and today, let's just say this is an episode that has been several weeks in the making, if you will. It's something a little bit of a departure from how we normally do episodes here at I Am Northwest Arkansas. I have cobbled together a walking tour that I took with David Johnson and Heather Robideau from the Fayetteville Public Library. They were kind enough to invite me down to take a look at the new expansion, both indoors and outdoors. And I got to tell you folks, it's absolutely amazing. So I got so much information on the walking tour. It was probably an hour and a half that those guys were kind enough to spend with me, kind of taking me through the ins and outs of what this new expansion is going to mean for the community, what it's going to mean for each and every one of us that live, not just in Fayetteville, but in Northwest Arkansas in general. And so, and I think it was 2012, the Fayetteville Public Library was ranked one of the best, if not the best public library in the country. And there's a reason for that. And David Johnson and his team of librarians and everybody that works at the Fayetteville Public Library really just take, a certain level of respect and honor to their craft of what they do as librarians and just bringing us the best that anyone could ever ask for in a city when it comes to a local place to gain knowledge and information. And the Fayetteville Public Library is certainly they're no shrinking violet when it comes to bringing the best and the best talent and best information to this community. And so, with this expansion, they are adding teaching kitchens, event center, center for innovation, a movement room, a courtyard that can hold up to 1,000 people. That's almost the size of the downtown Fayetteville Square. I mean, there's just so many aspects to this new expansion. And a lot of times people just hear the dollar signs and say, well, man, what is all this money going to? Well, if you listen to this episode, I think you'll have a much better understanding of where your tax dollars are going. But more importantly, especially for those of you that live in Fayetteville, but more importantly, why so many philanthropic organizations and families have decided to sow into what this library is doing. David Johnson has a vision that's bigger than himself, that's bigger than Fayetteville, it's bigger than Northwest Arkansas even. And these guys have gone all over the world to bring the best and brightest of an experience to us here at the Fayetteville Public Library. So let's just jump right in and learn a little bit more about it. And we're going to take you through each section of the library with a little commentary from me. That's why I said this is a little bit of a different episode than normal. So bear with me, but I think you're going to find real value in this particular episode. So just listen to David and Heather talk with such pride about this expansion and everything that it entails. I think you're going to like it. And listen, by the way, all I can do is recommend that when you get a chance, get down to the Fayetteville Public Library and take a tour of the new expansion. It's going to be opening soon. As of the date of this podcast, it hopefully will be opening in the next few weeks. But of course, with the pandemic being what it is, the opening is going to be somewhat modified. So stay tuned for more information on that. But I think you guys are going to like what you hear today. Finally, the last thing I wanted to mention is that you will hear some noise in the background in certain sections of the podcast where we were going through actual construction places within the library there. So, but trust me, the sound is good and there's a lot of great information here. So enjoy this episode.
So that is the Hunt Family Gathering Glade. It's the bench rock amphitheater seating. We just put down the zoysia grass. It can seat up to 1,000 outdoors for programming. We've got it all wired up so that we can put a stage out. We can do movies during the summer.
Right.
We can do theater, drama. We can do ballet. We can do yoga.
It's endless possibilities.
It is, physically, it's as large as the downtown square.
That's David Johnson talking about the outdoor gathering space, which is basically the courtyard that is around the new structure there at the Fayetteville Public Library. So if you remember the old building, you could look out on the back and see the back entrance to the library. Well, now there's a huge courtyard there, and it backs up to where the E. Fay Jones Park is going to be in the Cultural Arts Corridor. So it's going to be really exciting, but Dave's going to talk a little bit more about that and also about some amazing airplanes.
Once the Cultural Arts Corridor comes in, you'll be able to come up the sidewalks and come right into the Gathering Glade space. And you're going to get a sky bridge view of our preschool area and the airplanes.
Oh, man. These look like some of the airplanes that were down at Drake Field.
These are airplanes from the Arkansas Air and Military Museum.
Wow.
You saw them there.
Okay. Okay.
The Gypsy Moth and the gyroplane. And then the one that we don't know, I'm not really sure exactly what model that one is on the other side.
These are all working air.
These two are. That one is pieced together and painted in the Razorback white and red.
Right.
But they're on permanent loan.
His height is like...
So this is preschool. This is for the little kiddos.
Right,
and we'll get a chance when we get downstairs. You'll see all of that playscape and area for them to explore and learn. We've got an elevator and a grand staircase up, and then a beautiful view out onto School Street.
The preschool area at the library is just absolutely amazing. And the first thing I could think of when I first walked into the room was the National Air and Space Museum at the Smithsonian in Washington, D.C. It has that feel to it. Can you imagine that being your library? Well, if you live in Fayetteville, that's what you're going to experience. Well, here's some more as David talks about the deli at the library. My stomach is getting hungry just listening to him.
Now, who's going to be doing the deli food?
We're working with Jeremy Gothrop, who
of course.
is
Woodstone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
and the Roots.
Jeremy is guiding us through that process of creating our own menu.
Yep.
And developing our own
He's a good man. So
food stuff. So yeah.
Oh,
Jeremy's
that's exciting. That is exciting. You have to get like some kind of bacon, egg, and cheese and call it the FPL or something like
Well,
that.
so what we're working on is we do want to have a signature dish.
Right.
And we're working on a book-shaped panini that will actually have the logo toasted onto the panini.
That's special.
And so
that is special. It's probably going to taste really good too. So,
You haven't heard the last of this deli. Later on, David's going to tell us a little bit more about the impact that he hopes this deli has on our community. And, man, it was just so much information. The next thing we get into is, talking about the ceiling lamps in the grade school area. And more importantly, that space behind the library. They actually own it and they have plans for what they want to use it for in the future. Stay tuned.
Man, I love these lamps. I mean, these hanging ceiling.
Yeah.
Those are beautiful.
And they'll have computers back here.
Okay.
One of the things that I know parents, when we were getting feedback on, that they didn't want us to lead with the computers in the grade school area, So we listened to that, and
you have to kind of find it.
Pushed
Yeah,
it back
that's
just
smart.
a little bit.
That's smart. Let them embrace the books first.
So this is part of our new inventory of parking. We're adding 110 new parking spaces.
Wow.
We also own that available piece of land back there. And we will be at some point developing that. We've got a lot of people who've approached us with ideas and everything from a bike NWA, a pump track for little kids on bikes, to raised bed flower gardens, to boutique hotels, to
Everything.
all kinds of things. But
they want to put a 21-seat next to the Fayetteville Public Library.
That's right.
So,
we could do that.
And not to be outdone with the parking, but they also have space for all kinds of events that they could hold here at the Fayetteville Public Library, and parking for all kinds of vehicles. So they have left no stone unturned when it comes to utilizing the space around the library.
That's cool.
And then on the corner right there, you can see the work being done on the E. Jones Park.
Okay.
That's the 6 acres on the other side of that fence that you can see hard hats working back there right now.
Yeah. Now, is that going to be done in tandem with this, or is
They
that...
will not be completed with their project until November or December of 2021
Oh, wow. Okay.
for phase one.
Yeah.
And so we're going to be out ahead of them by right at a year.
Okay. I got you. Interesting. Huh. This is exciting.
So we've got a full-size loading dock where you can back in an 18-wheeler and bring in all of our food sources for the kitchen, the deli, and the teaching kitchen. It can handle the largest rig out there, so that if we have a production in the event center that is actually, Broadway-esque, we can get the trucks in and out of our loading deck. And we've got a freight elevator that can move materials wherever we need them.
Wow.
Okay.
It's temporary.
Okay.
Yeah. They're turning it off. And
So
on.
many sounds. I'm sure you guys get inundated all day. How do you keep up with
the
them?
beep, beep, beep of the backing up stuff. I'm kind of numb to that one now.
As long as it didn't keep going as a fire of some sort.
That's funny.
There were definitely a lot of crazy sounds going on during this interview, but we held it together throughout the whole time of the tour. Now, I want you guys to really focus here, because David shares some really important information about one of the biggest challenges that most libraries face. And I never thought about it this way, but that simple challenge is, how do you address the needs of teens, right? Because the reality is that when we grow up and we go to the library as kids, we don't have a choice. Our parents take us there, we go, we're there. But as you get older, you have more things that you're interested in outside of the library. So how do you engage that audience? And Dave breaks it down and talks about the focus and intent of the teen section at the Fayetteville Public Library and what they hope to accomplish with it. Listen to this.
And then one of the things that's a challenge for all libraries on the planet is their teens. Generally, once the parents no longer are bringing children into the library, the attendance begins to drop off.
Exactly.
It's about the time when all the extracurricular activities are ramping up. And so we've tried to do some things in our teen design that we think is going to draw a bigger audience. So one of the things that's important is teens want to be wherever the adults are not. Right? But adults like to read youth literature, young adult literature. So how do we balance adults being able to come in and get their hands on the materials, but not necessarily where the youth are? So in our design, we'll have a librarian sitting here in this area at the desk, We've got the collection kind of up front loaded. We've got their project room behind you where all the teens can come in, and it's adaptable to do everything from a mock debate to a drama practice to a robotics tournament. You can do anything possible you want to do in the teen project room.
Okay.
But then as we move our way west through the space, we've got a couple of reading nooks on the back with plugs so that they can text to their little heart's desire. They get a great view of the court, of the gathering glade in this space. But as you work your way further to the west, right about through here, no adults are allowed.
Oh, wow.
So they have 2 study rooms.
Okay.
They'll have 2 restaurant booth seating spaces. No adults allowed in any of this back here. And this is going to have all kinds of modular furniture, stuff that they can move around and mix and seat however they want. They've got a gaming room of their own.
My kids are gonna love this. I mean, they already.
Possibly the best view.
Yeah, possibly the best view. They look right down on the Ife Jones Park.
Wow. And you can see the Razorback Greenway over here and everything.
Absolutely.
So that's amazing. Absolutely.
And then
amazing.
from here, you can see. I've been told that far mountain out there is 30 miles away.
Okay. That's probably like across from Devil's Den.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About to 74. Yeah.
Yeah. That's below West Fort.
I would say that might be right. It's beyond West Fort, maybe around Winslow.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
I think that's what I was envisioning.
Yeah. Was that Highway 74? There?
Yeah.
But this is all the teen space. This is, we are planning on giving them their area that they can own, and they can do what they want to do back here, and they don't have to worry about adults interrupting and getting into their space and all those little things that kind of make it I don't want to go.
Although there's a camera, so we keep an eye on folks.
We're not stupid.
Yeah, exactly.
We realize our investment here, and that we have to take care of it.
I certainly don't want to date myself, but when I was growing up in Teaneck, New Jersey, we didn't have a special acknowledged space for teens. I wish we did, but suffice it to say that David and his team have thought of everything, and it's just impressive what they came up with. So would love to get your thoughts once you see that teen space, especially if you have a teenager like I do. My goal is to get them down there spending time as much as possible. They can text, they can play games, but they can also read and talk to other people and gain some additional insight that only the library can provide. Now, I want you guys to listen very closely to what I'm about to share with you next, because I think it speaks volumes to the amount of detail that goes into what this library represents and what this expansion represents, because David and his team traveled the world. Listen to this story.
How many libraries did you guys visit to inform your...
So we went to approximately 7 domestically, everywhere from Seattle Public Library to the Orlando Public Library. I looked at the San Diego Public Library, the brand new Austin Public Library, the Salt Lake City Public Library, Chicago, Indianapolis. But then we did send our architect and a staff member to Europe. Okay. And so they toured Denmark, Sweden, some in Aarhus, Dock 1. The library at Manchester in England, what we really identified were the libraries that are kind of considered to be the best in the world.
Yeah.
And that were accessible to us. And so that team went over there and came back with a lot of ideas, many of which were those advanced libraries are designing for people and not for books.
Yeah, I got you.
That was kind of one of the very guiding principles that they brought back, was that they're designing spaces for people so that when you get the people in, then they'll be attracted to the materials and they'll find them that way.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of traveling around.
Yeah.
And interestingly, so like when we get down and start looking at our innovation center, you'll see a mini model of one that we saw in the Orlando Public Library.
Okay.
And then you'll see just some of the different pieces that we're very unique in that there aren't any libraries around that are doing everything in one place like we are, like a teaching kitchen, an event center, a center for innovation, a movement room. Those things they may be happening at one-offs in different libraries, none of them in a library all in one place.
Yeah.
I think, and in fact, I know we're already beginning to garner some national attention from other libraries. They're hearing what we're doing and are getting really excited about coming here to see and getting ideas from what we're doing so that they can take them home and do things for themselves.
So what you're saying is that there's a possibility that you could be one of the top libraries in the country once again. So
well, we're super proud of being, the best library in America and the smallest library to ever win the award. And we'll be even more excited to be one of the only 2-time winners of that award.
There you go. That's it. You have to be thinking optimistically about what could be. So But no, this is exciting. I mean, it's not like this is a culmination of a lifetime, but it's just kind of like the iterative process of what you would hope a library could ultimately become for a community.
Yeah.
I mean, if that makes sense. At least that's how I see it. And I've only been here a short time, but I've talked to people that are lifers, and they're so proud of the library here and what it represents and just, the way you use it. And I know when we first moved here in 2014, I mean, we could not get our kids out of this library. Yeah. They were here all the time. And because my wife was homeschooling them, everybody knew everybody on a first name basis just because they were always here. So, I mean, there's some real benefits to that.
Yeah, I have to say that it's impressive what Dave and his team have been able to do by taking examples of other spaces and incorporating that into the dream, if you will, of what this library could be. And so I look forward to the future and what that holds. But I got to tell you, one of the hallmarks of this new library is the event space. And I just want you to hear directly from David as he breaks down all that this event space entails. You've not seen anything like it ever before. Check this out.
Hey, how are you? Good to see you. Good to see you. Oh, wow.
So you're looking at a 60-foot by 26-foot full professional stage, 2 catwalks, all riggings for theatrical dramatic effects, 24-foot video projection for films, can seat 700 in a raked seated theater, and we'll show you how that works when we get downstairs. All of those seating retracts into the wall, and now I have a banquet hall for 500.
Wow.
Or I've got concert standing room only for 1,000.
So when you had what was it, Delia Owens, when she came here, you could have had her right here.
All in one room. Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We've got the cherry wood sound clouds, all acoustical paneling. We've got L Acoustics sound equipment, Heath and Allen mixing, and it is going. It fits a niche in all of Northwest Arkansas. We've got big, we've got the AMP, and we've got the Walton Arts Center, and we've got the Bud Walton Arena.
Yeah.
Or we've got small. We've got
Crystal Bridges.
We've got small spaces where you can go to George's and other places like that. But we don't have a medium-sized room that's dedicated for performing. We've got the town center, but that's really not, acoustically set up or designed for the types of performance events and author events and things that we're going to be able to do here.
Yeah, that's exciting.
it's any type of event that you can think of. If you want to take curtain and rods and curtain and spread this out and have 4 smaller rooms for small events, you could bring in a Taekwondo master and teach 300 on the floor.
Right.
You could have a robotics tournament in here. There's so many different things you can do. You could start the morning in a conference setting with vendor tables and different things. And then at lunch, you could spread out, have a banquet, and that night convert it into a lecture hall for a guest speaker.
Wow.
All of that, it will only takes about 20 to 30 minutes to extend the seating.
Now, will there be like a set of like on-demand staff for when you have those big events? And that maybe because if you're not doing it every day, or how's that going to work?
So our library staff is currently being trained on how to be able to do all the sound engineering, lighting,
nice.
and those things. If you want to bring your own, we will, step back and oversee. But if you come in and you need somebody to run lights and run sound, we will have staff available to do that.
Yeah.
Now, it does. So one of the things that we're very sensitive about is that we're not going to give away for free what people in the community are making a living doing.
Yes.
So there is a tiered charge for the room. If you're a for-profit, if you're a Walmart, if you're a J.B. Hunt or a Procter & Gamble, and you want to use this space for something, there is a for-profit level. Then we've got a nonprofit price. And then if you don't have 2 nickels to rub together, and it's something the library feels strongly enough about, we will partner with you and we'll figure out a way to make it happen.
Okay.
Any library program that happens in this space is free.
It's free.
Anything that's library sponsored will be free.
Okay.
But if Brian Crown wants to rent it out for a rock show and charge ticket prices, well, then that's that's what he does. But he will pay a for-profit price for the space.
I mean, I could see that even the Roots doing something here.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah.
I'm
So
sure
Jeremy
said that.
Jeremy's
I'm sure
already,
That's already.
already thinking it through. And so, we've got spaces in here for editing down. So if we record a program and do everything in here, we come in real quick, we can edit it and then broadcast and send out whatever we want. So it's a super flexible, very high-tech professional space.
I see. This is really nice.
One of the things that Dave reflected on, which was a story that he shared with me previously, which was about the fact that Maya Angelou, before she passed away, had committed to coming to visit the Fayetteville Public Library and speak. Can you imagine that? I mean, we've had some great people, some great writers come and speak at the Fayetteville Public Library, but it would have been nice to have had an Arkansas native like Maya Angelou come and speak at the Fayetteville Public Library. But Dave shares this really cool story about that. And the only thing that wasn't cool about the whole story was the simple fact that her health deteriorated so much that she passed away before she could make it up for her committed time to speak at the engagement. But listen to what Dave had to share.
When we were going to be the very last speaking engagement for Maya Angelou, and we knew it was going to be a big event, and we knew our space was limited, so we worked with the University of Arkansas. We were going to use their science lecture hall. We were going to do every space in the library or whatever. And so we then decided one of the ways we can control this crowd would be to just ticket the event. So we had 2,000 tickets. So they were free, but it was ticketed. We moved 2,000 tickets in 28 minutes.
I'm sure.
But with this setup, we might not have had to leave campus. We could have maybe have done it all
right here,
all in here.
Yeah.
And one of the advantages to our event center is, like I mentioned, but the town center, when they do Roots, they have to, so you pay to lease the town center. You have to pay to put in the staging. You have to pay to bring in the lighting. You have to pay to bring in the sound. And it's just layer on layer. For us, it's all here. You bring the talent.
Yeah.
We've got everything.
Yeah.
And when Dave says they've got everything, they really do have everything. You have to listen to the fact that they have a working kitchen for banquet facilities. I just, again, as I walked through this whole space with David and Heather, I was blown away at they did not leave one stone unturned. Listen to all of the things that this events center has at its disposal. You'll be amazed.
But the flow of food from our teaching kitchen and where the catering will come through this hallway on this side. So to our left is the green room for where artists and the talent can hang out before it's their turn to come on stage. Mm-hmm. We're getting it all built. They'll have a video monitor that projects what's going on stage, and when they come out,
go right
in.
Yeah.
Upstairs, to the left on the ramp is our dressing room, where we have counter tables for all makeup changes, mm-hmm. clothing changes. We've got a storage room for all the instrument lockers and boxes and cargo holds and all that stuff as they come in. But then this is the kitchen.
Wow.
We've got a full-size walk-in refrigerator and a full-size walk-in freezer on the back side.
Oh, man.
And then when you come into the kitchen space, the first grill hood that you'll see is for the catering piece, is all on this side.
Okay.
And it feeds our deli, which we'll go look at in a minute. So this grill, all of the warming ovens and everything will be set up in here so that as you prepare food to take out for catering, mm-hmm. can happen in here.
Right here, yeah.
Imagine that, a commercial grade teaching kitchen. The Fayetteville Public Library now has one. Listen to how this came together and exactly what is included in this teaching kitchen, and also how it marries nicely to the deli area for the Fayetteville Public Library restaurant or deli that they're going to have. So this is really cool.
But on the back side of this is where we have the teaching kitchen. And so we'll have 4 pods with 4 student stations for a total of 16 students. And the instructor station here. We'll have the dish pit, warming ovens, all of the refrigeration units all along the wall. And then we'll be able to do our culinary classes, mm-hmm. starting with, on January 6th, the high school students, 16 high school students will come over. Mm-hmm. Chef Adam Simmons from Brightwater mm-hmm. will come down, and we begin our very first set of classes for the concurrent credit program in the culinary arts for the high school.
Oh, wow.
So that you can actually graduate high school with an associate's degree in the culinary arts.
Okay.
All of that instruction will be from 7 o'clock in the morning until 10:30 in the morning. And then the rest of the day we'll be doing different culinary education around training professionals in this area so that they can go right into the restaurant field. And we met with 30 different restaurant owners and chefs, and they talked about the critical shortage of skilled kitchen staff. Mm-hmm. And we said, well, what if we use this space to teach the restaurant industry like certifications like Safe Serve, and the others.
Right,
and so you can come down, you can get that certification, and you can go and get work. But the place can be checked out for any community use as well.
So I was just going to ask you that because I'm thinking here, so this is going to be considered a commercial grade kitchen, right?
Correct.
Okay. All right. So then that means that anybody could make something here and sell it outside for the public. Okay. Right.
And certainly another one of the types of programming that we really couldn't accommodate before there was a huge demand for cooking classes.
Yeah.
And now we finally have the opportunity to offer that to the community. So we'll, much like other programs here, we'll have those kind of intro level cooking classes or specialty types of cooking, maybe a featured cookbook author that can actually cook some recipes out of their cookbook and feature that.
Crescent Dragon
Chef
Wagon.
Aaron Rowe or something like that, the Ozark Culinary Tours.
Absolutely.
So, yeah,
absolutely.
she'd be great.
And it can broadcast out, so if they're in here working, if you're just out in seating from the deli, you can
see what's
going on and hear what's
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah. We have ideas and plans, but then the community is going to help guide us as to how they would also want to use the space.
Mm-hmm.
And so both all the library program side of things, as well as there may be, chefs in the making out there who have ideas, but they don't have the money to go, lease a place and begin trying to develop a menu. They can
Right.
come down here and do that. Or maybe you've got a bumper crop of tomatoes in your garden and you don't have a place to can it all.
Exactly.
You can come down and do those things in here. And so, this is going to be exciting to see how it develops. And, the demand that we already know exists, the new demand
There's not that many commercial grade kitchens
anywhere. No.
Because somebody told me there's like one in Little Rock, and there might be one here, but just getting access to it is the problem.
Right.
So,
yeah. I don't think we're going to have a problem drawing attention.
No, not at all. Not at all. So.
But even though, Randy, you could say, I've got a friend who's a great chef and I'd like to have 16 of my friends come in and have him teach us how to make XYZ.
Right.
And you just check the place out for an evening.
Yeah.
Maybe you want to offer your friends a sommelier class taught by a local sommelier, so you could just check the space out and go through a course in the evenings on sommeliers.
Mm-hmm. The opportunities and ideas are endless.
Well, and that's what I say. Your imagination is your limitation.
Right.
So if you can imagine it, the space will be able to facilitate it.
What do you think? That's pretty impressive, huh? A commercial grade kitchen available for your personal use, available for your business use. For those of you that want to start a business, I know this pandemic has been a challenge for a lot of people, and a lot of restaurants are having challenges just staying afloat. But there's always going to be opportunities for new cuisine out there. And, who knows, maybe the commercial kitchen at the Fayetteville Public Library is going to be the best testing ground for you before you step out and start spending a whole lot of money trying to get your restaurant idea off the ground. But who would have thought that you could do it at a public library? Well, at the Fayetteville Public Library, that will soon be very possible. The other thing that's really cool about this kitchen area is that it's connected to the deli, what will be known eventually as the Fayetteville Public Library Deli or the FPL Deli or something along those lines. I think the name is still being worked out, but the bottom line is the idea behind this deli and what they would hope to achieve with this deli is pretty special. But I'll let David tell you more about that.
But this is also the deli seating area. It's all wired up so that we could do open mic nights and have somebody playing guitars or saxophone or piano in this space. And this is all the deli seating around here. And then we have outdoor deli seating on temperate evenings and mornings and lunches.
People could just come down here and say, meet me at the library for lunch.
Right. So here's the deli.
Yeah.
We call it deli. We don't know if it's going to be a bodega. We don't know what we really are going to call it, but we're doing deli as shorthand now.
Sure.
But with Jeremy and our conversations, there are certain things we're looking at. We're going to start simple with soup, salad, sandwiches. But the key to what we're doing is, I want people who come to the library to be able to stay at the library and not have to leave to go get food.
Right.
But I also want to address the fact that we have people who come to the library and some drive Porsches and some walk up from Seven Hills.
Yeah.
So we've got a wide range of customers.
Sure.
And I want everybody to be able to afford something at the library. So our design is that all the pricing will be based around covering the costs of labor and food product. All the fixed costs come out. It is not a profit-driven model.
I got you.
So, for example, at Woodstone Pizza, you pay $15 for a pepperoni. I take out all the fixed costs, and that same pizza is less than $5.
Right.
So if we're making a panini, that all the fixed costs are taken out of, and I can get a panini for $1.50.
Right. Yeah.
Or I can get a cup of soup for $1.
Yeah.
And that's the model. I want everybody to find something that they can afford.
I love that.
The other piece of it is, this area, it's no mystery, is, food insecurity is
huge.
Astonishingly high.
Pandemic has ripped a Band-Aid off that we didn't realize was as bad as it is.
Right.
So, yeah.
And so, and we know that, and Heather, y'all have done a really good job of putting together I call it a roadmap of places where people can go every day and go find a free meal at some kitchen or food, what do they call them? Pantry or whatever. So our goal will be that one day a week, whether it's a breakfast or lunch or a dinner, we're going to serve free meals to the community.
Okay.
I think it's ideal for the role that we play in the community, but also for the students and the people who work here to have an opportunity to work with people that they may not ever get other opportunities to work with, and to serve other people. So whether that's a real hearty rice and beans that will sit on your stomach for a full day, whether it's, a hearty soup with bread or whatever, Jeremy, we're going to kind of come up with what that would be. But I just think that it's important that we fall into that model, because we already attract that audience here. Let's see what we can do to help on the culinary and nourishment side as well.
For sure, because every time I would come up here, I'd see the same people that would come up here, and they'd be here for hours on end. So, there's no mystery there, but I think that's great.
Yeah, and there's even one additional opportunity that we have, which in terms of city resilience. So if we endure another ice storm or another natural disaster, or too bad we didn't have this kitchen available when the pandemic first hit and we could be feeding 20,000 people a meal.
Right.
But this kitchen could then be turned over to just volume. We can create 50,000 meals in a day. We've got an event center where we could put out cots for people to sleep.
Right.
We've got a parking lot where a helicopter could land. We could be a home base and station for just city resiliency. We're all on gas-fed generators, so we would have power.
Right.
We have restroom facilities. So I think that's another role. Heaven forbids ideally, we'll never have to do that.
Let's hope we never have to.
Let's hope that never happens.
If it were to come up, at least we're ready.
Right.
So.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think
we're a centrally located space where people can get to us, and we can serve them a meal and provide a warm place for them to stay.
Wow.
One of the cool things that David made us aware of was the significance of the McElroy entrance, named after the people that owned McElroy Bank and have been individuals that were the donation of land to the University of Arkansas to establish the university. And the McElroy family has been around Fayetteville for years in Northwest Arkansas, and they've played a major role in a major philanthropic role with the library. And David had some interesting stories to share about that and the significance of that McElroy entrance there off of School Street. In addition, he also had a really cool story to share about his the fact that he was so impressed by the bathrooms in a lot of airports where you don't have to touch anything, and how that played into the design of bathrooms at the Fayetteville Public Library. And well, let's just say the women that come to the library will never, ever have to wait in line for a stall. Just hear what David has to say about that.
What you're looking at really is the McElroy entry to the library. So the McElroy family, they dedicated the land that the University of Arkansas sits on. They had the popular bank in town that was sold to Arvest.
Right.
And Hayden McElroy is still a figure in town. And so through a generous donation, this is the new Hayden or the McElroy family entry. And with that comes the very first bank safe in the history of Arkansas as a donation. He's donated his family's safe, and we'll have it in this vestibule here. He's donated the 4 patriarch portraits that have been painted, the grandfather, Hayden's dad, and Hayden.
Okay.
And then all through this entry area, the adult services staff are going up and looking at the McElroy archive, and we're going to build sort of the history of Fayetteville through the McElroy family.
Sure.
In this area. So we're on School Street at the McElroy entry.
Okay.
So our public rest, so when you come in off of School Street and you come through, come up at that south parking area and you enter into this sort of gathering space before you go into the event center, we've got our public restrooms. We did not know how the foresight that we had. I really like airport bathrooms because I don't have to touch anything.
Yeah.
I don't have to grab a door handle, and I can just wave at the sink, and I can get soap and water. And so we have done that. In a pandemic world, a no-hands bathroom facility is ideal.
Right.
And so we have both the large public restroom spaces, and one thing that always bothers me is to see a line of women waiting to go in because there aren't enough stalls for the females, and the men are just coming and going, and there's no line.
Heather's like, yeah, right.
So we have doubled down and quadrupled the number of stalls and spaces on the female side, and given the men just enough.
Yeah.
So after we left the McElroy entrance there and went back up to the what is going to be the youth area of the Fayetteville Public Library, where you'll have the preschool area, the young people, as well as the teen rooms. We got a chance to check out the storytime room and project rooms, and there's something for all of the young folks that are going to come to the library, and some really interesting things that they're going to be doing with the young people at the library, and some exhibits and things that you're going to see there that you may not see any other place. And I'll let David kind of walk you through that and give you an idea. So just imagine being in this huge open area as you look around and see all these different sites and these little rooms that you can go from one to the other. And it just makes it easy for parents that come with multiple children to be able to, from a simple glance, kind of survey the whole area and really keep your eye on your kids while letting them roam free to explore. Here's David.
So you first walk in and you see these planes.
They look different from here. Yeah. Wow.
You know, to Heather's point, you know, we didn't want you to walk right in and see computers.
Mm-hmm.
And so all the computing pieces are going to be along the east side there.
Yeah.
So the first thing you'll see are books.
Yeah.
And then we've got the parenting kits in the area back there. Beneath the stairwell is the read aloud space. And then all of these little meeting rooms are for kids can do either homeschool, or you can check one out and meet with a tutor or a counselor, or just have a quiet place to read. Elevator for ADA compliance and for parents with strollers can get upstairs, or you can take the stairways up, and like Heather had said, if you've got little ones down here, you can send a grade school up there and still be connected.
Right.
And then this is awesome.
So in our current world, you know, our storytime room, which we've outgrown, functions also as our project room, and we decided we're going to break them apart. And so we've got a project craft space for little bitties with rubber floor and sinks, and they can do glitter bombs and throw glue and do whatever they want to do, all in this space here, and it's adjacent to the story time. And so in the new story time space, much bigger, more like the Walker Room, which we use today. It's got the puppet theater. And
Because a story time room wouldn't be complete without a puppet theater. So.
Yeah. Well, but when we move them to the Walker room, because there's 110 kids, we lose our puppet theater.
Oh, okay. All right.
And so it's only when we have a smaller group that we can do them in that,
Actually use that.
and do that. So this room fits that mold.
And it certainly allows us to either do things simultaneously or one after the other here, because you don't have to stop and flip a room to a different setup
Clean up a mess.
before you can do a different type of program.
Right.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
And then we solve the problem of if you've got 3 or 4 little ones with you and you're in here at story time and then one of them gets the cranky pants and you got to take them out, you can at least have a glass wall and keep your eye on the other ones. In today's world, if I take one out of Walker room, I can't see into the Walker room with the, so I'm going to grab them all.
Right. Right.
Outside the space, we're working with a beekeeper who has glass hives. So right outside the window, there'll be some glass beehives. And so the kids can watch the bees coming and going and making their honey. And up on our rooftop garden that we just put in, we've got wildflowers are growing up there.
okay.
And so
Well,
kind of create a little...
Monarch butterflies, or
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
all right,
And,
nice.
and we're going to be teaching adult classes this spring in that regard too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With apiary. And,
Yeah.
That's cool.
She used the technical name.
I've never seen the a glass beehive.
I haven't
so.
either. I'm excited.
Yeah, I can't
They're
wait to
so
see
when
that.
I was
That's
growing up,
interesting.
I remember anytime you drove, there was a restaurant, I think it was in Russellville, that you could stop at, and they had a glass beehive or like a glass wall with bees right behind it, and you could see them doing the thing, and it was like, wow. As a kid, I was fascinated.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now we get to do our own. I can appeal to my own kid again
Yeah, I like that.
and
I
see
like
that space.
I don't know about you guys, but I can't wait to see what a glass beehive looks like. It just sounds cool. In my mind, I can see it, but I've never seen one in real life. So, whenever I go to the Fayetteville Public Library, I'll be sure to make a beeline, no pun intended, to the young people's area where I can take a look at that beehive. And I think you'll be able to even see it from the outside as well. So that's kind of cool. But it's just like the Fayetteville Public Library to have something like that to keep the kids engaged. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Preschool. So, when we went to the voters with a list of items for things that we wanted to do, one of the key components was double the size of youth service. And so we've accomplished that. And in doing so, we've decided to break it up into 3 areas. So we've got this large preschool area, we've got a grade school area, and then that teen library.
Okay.
So we've been able to double the size and create an innovative, unique space.
I like
just a little
the number in 2020 FPL.
Yeah, November 2020 FPL. That's when it came to us. So.
Yeah, that's
And in
very
that
cool.
one, we will probably be, the pilot will change. So it may be Santa Claus during the Christmas time, and we'll pull it out, and it may become the Cat in the Hat for a little while, or maybe it becomes...
rampaging Razorback.
It can be a Razorback. It can be a Bulldog. It will be the one where we can do some fun things and change the pilot out depending on what's happening in the community or what season it is that we're doing it.
Yeah.
Maybe we put, Darth Vader up there, or
Anybody. Hey, anything's fair game
anything
in
we
this
can.
area, so.
Yeah, you got to be
Yoda for
Yoda.
sure.
Maybe Yoda, yeah.
Exactly.
Wow.
Then just right around the corner. So if you recall, in our youth services area there, the brightly colored bathrooms and everything, and so we've kept that model. We've also got a stroller corral so that moms and dads can park strollers, and then we've got the brightly colored bathrooms, and then at the far end down here we've got the nursing room. So we have for mothers and those who are nursing. But inside those spaces, we've also got a monitor that will be playing story times or other things, so that if you've got 2 or 3 with you, they can be entertained while you do what you have to
Okay.
do. So
Man, it's just so much. Every time we took a turn and went into another room, there was something new to see. But now as we kind of wind our way towards the end of this tour, we made it down to the Hunt Family Center for Innovation. This is the inspiration of the makerspace, where there is going to be a lot of innovation and creation that's going to take place within the four walls of these rooms here at the Fayetteville Public Library. And, just hear what David has to say about these rooms and about the impetus behind them. And certainly there's going to be a lot of opportunity for innovation. There's going to be a lot of opportunity for workforce development. And this area here, the Hunt Family Center for Innovation, is going to provide something for everyone, literally everyone. But don't take my word for it. Hear what David has to say about that.
FPL was one of the first libraries around to have like a 3D printer. We were one of the first libraries around to do robotics training or classes and things. And we knew maker spaces and fabrication fab labs were, an area we were already in. We really didn't have a dedicated space for it, and working with nerdies and others. So we know we wanted a maker space. But the more we thought about it, and then we went and toured the Melrose Center at the Orlando Public Library, and we had a whole mind shift around what a maker space could be. And we really found ourselves in the place where it's just about an area of innovation, creation, and imagination.
Okay.
And so let's go take a look at our Hunt Family Center for Innovation.
Okay.
Out here, you may see one of our simulators. We might put the flight simulator out here, so we'll be able to do flight trainings and different things like that. This is our traditional makerspace, where we'll be doing all of the robotics, Arduino coding, anything you can think of. It's a place where you come and make things at the library and not just take things. All digitally wired with monitors. Then in our simulation lab next door is where we will have, I mentioned the flight simulator, but we're also looking at, we will be purchasing a backhoe simulator, a forklift simulator, a driving simulator, and a commercial truck driving simulator.
Oh, wow. Okay.
All with a curriculum, of which when you pass those classes, you'll get you'll be certified and in those things, so that hopefully if you go apply for a job or whatever and you put that certification on your resume or application, your resume will go to the top. It's about workforce development.
Exactly.
We've got kitchen workforce development, and then we've got these other trades.
Okay.
So when Ivan Crossland, who owns Crossland Construction, who's our lead contractor here, when he came down and saw it, we asked him, I said, if somebody came to you with a backhoe simulator certification, would you hire them? And he said, absolutely.
Okay.
I love that. You should have seen the glint in David's eye when he told me that story about Ivan Crossland. I thought that was kind of cool. And, that's one of the biggest things in this country that we need is more workforce development, even at a young age, right? I'm always telling my son, you need to learn a trade as well as everything else that you learn. I mean, people aren't learning carpentry anymore. People aren't learning to be an electrician. People aren't learning a lot of the trades. And you're going to be able to do some of this right at the Fayetteville Public Library. And so I think that is going to be a game changer for our community as a whole. And I think what David and his team at the Fayetteville Public Library are doing is nothing short of extraordinary. And they are taking it upon themselves to reinvent how education is done, how people learn, how people tinker and engage and try new things. And you're going to be able to do that within the four walls of the Fayetteville Public Library. Now, I'd be remiss if we didn't mention music and arts and video. And that was the last section of the tour where we visited the sound studio. And I got to tell you, folks, it is beyond reproach. This sound studio is absolutely amazing, but I'll let David tell you more about that. And again, when you get the chance, come down and check it out. And if you're musically inclined, you will be in heaven when you visit this space.
Fayetteville's a music town. We love live music.
Sure.
And so one of the things I always felt like would be unique and neat for us was if there was a free place where people could come and do professional recordings.
Exactly.
And so we built a professional recording studio.
Nice.
Immediately, you notice the geometry of the walls
Yeah.
are different. We're finishing up the acoustic paneling. We'll get the ceiling in. Then we'll put our hardwood floor down. But it is, we had kind of a choice to make about, do we want to really have a true fidelity, or do we just want to have a neat place where people can record? And we decided to go all in and build a true professional high fidelity recording studio, to the extent that there's a triple layer ceiling above us. Above the drop ceiling you see here is another layer of ceiling tiles with 2 layers of acoustic tiling on top of it. Mm-hmm. The floor is floating so that there are no subsonic sound waves can penetrate into this floor, because it's literally not connected.
Right.
You can see this rubber seal.
Sure.
This layer of concrete is not really connected other than that rubber layer around there.
Okay.
We'll have all the backline instruments, drums, guitars. We'll have a Steinway in here. The Hall family have donated a Steinway. In fact, if you've ever seen the Steinway up at the Pryor Center in their lobby, that's ours.
Oh,
it's temporarily
okay. Yeah,
up there.
Sure,
so
sure.
that
I've
one's
seen
going to
that.
come down. We'll have all of the instruments and things here, so anyone in the community can come down and record music. We have the engineer studio. We're going to be running Pro Tools as a recording software. If you go to Nashville, Vegas, you go to any recording studio anywhere, they're using Pro Tools.
Right. Yeah.
And we're going to be offering a series of classes and certifications, so that before we let you just walk in here and start doing something, you're going to have to show us a level of competency. Mm-hmm. And after you've taken all of the 4 levels of classes, then you can just walk in, we'll throw you the keys, and you can come do whatever you want.
I got you.
But it'll all be in the Pro Tools suite. We have an isolation booth on the far side, so you can do your solo, you can do your instrumentalists and different things in that area. We couldn't do just audio without doing the video. So we have a video studio that's just now getting finished out. So
got the green wall and everything.
This one will have a cyclorama, so it'll all be rounded off. Green wall, acoustic tiles. We'll have all the lighting. We'll have 3 cameras. You can come in here. You can do a video. You can interview a client. You can cut a commercial for yourself if you wanted to. Mm-hmm. The beauty is it's all free. And we'll have all of the editing software in the bays outside in this area as well.
I'll be using this spot for sure. This and the podcasting studio. I'll be using these both.
The beauty of everything that we've shown you today is that it's all free.
Yeah.
We like to think about the Center for Innovation as the launching pad. So if you don't have any money and you just have a curiosity or an imagination, come down here and get started.
Yeah.
It's a place where you can find all of the tools. It doesn't cost you to experiment and play. And it may be that you come up with an idea that is the next great innovative piece, and then you can go up to Startup Junkie, and they can help take you to that next level.
Yeah,
so we're just a starting place for that.
Yeah, I love that.
And in the courses to get certified on all of the equipment, you can take that and build a career off of that.
Sure,
I mean,
absolutely.
with all of the different technology in here. So, so many aspects of the expansion are dual purpose for the community, but it really, you can utilize it to build a
your
career.
quality of life no matter where you are in life.
I don't know about you folks, but I'm just getting excited listening to all of these different things that are available to everyone that has a library card. And I got to tell you, when I hear this, and just as Heather and David had described all these things that are available, it reminds me of the gift that just keeps on giving. Imagine being able to get certified on a lot of the different pro tools that are available, certified on some of the software to utilize some of this equipment that they have, and to the point where, you can run a full-fledged sound studio. I think that's pretty amazing. And you could do that all for free. So, the possibilities are endless. And I know a lot of you are listening to this and your mind is racing about all the things that you want to do as soon as the library opens up. And if you're listening to this and it's already open, I think that's really exciting. So, let's just, as we wind this up, start thinking about how you want to take advantage of the Fayetteville Public Library. If you're new to the area, you just have to visit it and get a library card. If you have been here for a long time, but you've just never took the time to set foot in the library, you need to do that now. That needs to change. And in a minute, you're going to hear why, because David and his team are making accessibility to the library a 24/7 experience. So I think you should check this out and understand what that's all about, because they're going to make it much easier and lower the bar to entry for people that need to utilize the library for a variety of reasons, whether they need it at 6 o'clock in the morning, at midnight, at 3 a.m., the library will actually be available to you. And I think that's kind of cool. And that's something that you don't find in even major cities that have multiple library branches. So check this out.
There's the photography studio.
Okay.
So you can go. We'll have cameras and lights and light boxes. So you might make jewelry, pottery, and you need some really high professional quality photographs. We'll have the light box where you can come down, take those, put them up on the web, sell your wares, and do whatever. We've got dressing rooms for costume changes for both the video studio or the photography studio. We'll have 12 different workstations and spaces in here, and in the back of there will be the 2 podcasting suites.
Okay.
Will be in this area. Okay. Part of it is we want to just build a culture of creativity where, those innovative ideas just smash up against one another, and people work together and collaborate who might not have ever, thought about, oh, wow, I'm building a robot that with a virtual reality piece to it, and I hear a person in the back making a country music song.
Right,
maybe I want to put that in what I'm doing.
Right,
so we meet up just hanging out here.
And collaborate.
And you collaborate,
Yeah.
and that's when those ideas just collide.
Yeah, I love that.
And we want a culture where people just want to come and hang out, and create and make stuff.
Yeah, this is awesome. This is really cool.
So, the Hunt family saw the potential, and they see the vision, and they understood what we were trying to do, and so they made a very generous donation to the Hunt Family Center for Innovation and the Hunt Family Gathering Glade. Their $5 million gift really is going to help us narrow down the gap on our capital campaign.
Okay. Whew. I just can't wait for this thing to be open. I can't wait for it to be open, really.
Yeah,
So.
We think the first of the year, we had thought we would be able to get in early December, mid-December, but we're running into some supply chain issues with those
As is
ceiling
everybody.
tiles. And
I've been
other
waiting on a
things.
door, an outside door for my house since July.
Yeah.
And it's just,
And-
everything's out of stock.
And, it's like, before I can get safety certification or pass these things, we've got to have these things. And so, we're going as fast as we can, as safely as we can.
Yeah.
And then we've met with the City Board of Health, brought them down. They toured, and they have come back with a set of guidelines for how we can safely open the space to the community when it's the right time. We're not going to be able to have that opening day, big festive gathering of thousands and different party type atmosphere we will be doing that someday. But to open, it's going to be a much slower, controlled, slow roll, as I call it.
Right,
And
right.
so how we introduce these elements to the community during this particular time is going to be, critical for our safety, library staff safety, volunteer safety, and clearly the community safety. How do we do it smartly so that we don't become a super spreader,
Yeah, because that's become the norm nowadays. So, but you just got to be careful. So many people are at risk. So.
Yeah, and they've given us the guidelines, and so now we have to turn those guidelines into a plan. Thankfully, we've got time to do that, and when it's the right time, we'll begin communicating more with the community about how we're going to do it. We missed a great opportunity with Theater Squared. We were going to be able to do a Christmas Carol on the main stage in the event center, but we just can't get the lights commissioned and the sound commissioned and other things. They wanted to start on December 2nd, and we just are not going to be ready.
Yeah.
In addition to having to beg off some early opportunities to use the space at the library, they have figured out that there were going to be some changes that were going to take place because of the pandemic that might be permanent changes at the library in terms of the way that they do things. And David talks a little bit more about that.
I'll be interested to see how does the community respond to opportunities to meet in large groups. It's one thing for Pfizer and Fauci to say, okay, the vaccine's ready, and it's one thing for the science to say we can do it. It's another thing for us psychologically to say I'm ready to do it.
No, trust me. I know.
You
That's
may
the
say
biggest
I can do it,
challenge.
but I'm
that's
not
the
going to be
biggest challenge.
ready.
And our ability to adopt all of these new rules and restrictions and just the way of life has been hard as it is. So it's really difficult.
The pandemic of 1918, Matt Petty told me, he said in that book, it says it took 4 years for America to recover from that event before we returned to our norms.
Yeah.
And even as we return to, even the library is not going to go back to totally normal because we've introduced some new things like curbside service and live streaming of our programming that we're going to keep doing forever because they've been so well received and there's an audience and it's a way for us to connect people to the library and what we do. So it will be a new normal for us whenever we get back to, being able to smile and open the door and say, come on in.
That's why you tell people you got to smile with your eyes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Let's have a big part. And someday we are going to have one big shindig here to celebrate and be thankful to the community for what they've done, which is allow us to build this. I mean, this is the people's house. This is their library. They've just, fortunately for us, given us the opportunity to dream big and
to steward it.
And give them everything we can.
Yeah.
So
I don't think we missed much.
No.
No, that's awesome. That is awesome. So, this is great. I really appreciate this. I've been jonesing to get in here. Every time a friend of mine is like, "Oh, I took a tour," I'm like, "Oh,
when's my turn?"
Yeah, I got to get in here, man. To see this
We're on the
place.
list. We were right there. In fact, I'm doing tours tomorrow and Friday with folks.
Oh my gosh, yeah. No, I know how that is. So, no, that's great. I really appreciate this, and I'm excited to be able to tell this story. So
head back out this way and get out of hard hat space.
Yeah.
And now you're in the 88,000 square feet. This used to be our shop. This was our facilities. Man, he pointed this out the other day. This was his office right here, and had all of his tools and everything over there.
Right.
Our friends' storage. So, but one of the advantages of, we look for silver linings, and so. And Heather and I were talking about this earlier. We were talking about how, because we don't have to be perfect right on day one, all polished and shiny. We're going to have an opportunity to kind of open it slowly and manage our processes and learn how to work in the building. And I think that's an advantage to us as opposed to the pressure of being on the money day one, and the expectations way up here.
It's almost like a dry run start, where you can kind of take your time and get acclimated to things, and you're not under as much pressure.
Yeah, we know human behavior enough to say, Heather and I planned this so that when people walk in, they all should go left. Well, funny, look, everybody's going right, So if you're not flexible and let
plans of mice and men,
and let the community tell us how they want to use the building, and then we can respond. So
that makes sense. That makes perfect sense.
Last but not least, hear how high tech the library is about to go when it opens again. You will not believe this if I told you myself. So I'll let David tell you all about the new technology that'll be taking place in the library. That it's exciting, though. I must say, red box at the library, but nothing like it.
It's going to be interesting to see how the technology around this Open Plus system that will allow us to be open 24/7.
Right.
One of the big advantages to it is if we will be limited occupancy due to the pandemic. And so it will be able to tell us how many people are in the building at any one time.
Oh, wow.
And where they're congregated.
Okay.
So that if we see clusters of people doing, when we should need to go down, they're not following social distancing stuff. We can go in and recommend that, hey, y'all need to move apart.
That's good.
Then we'll be putting in all of the red boxes where people can come in and, get new fiction, books, DVDs, and all of those different things. There'll be like a red box that you see at Walmart. We'll have laptop vending machines so you can swipe your card and check out a Mac or check out a Chromebook. We'll have a holds locker, so if you can't come to the library during our normal operating hours, but you can put an item on hold, you can have it put in the hold locker out here, swipe your card, and the door will open,
Come get
and
it.
pull your item out.
That's smart. I like that. I like that because that's almost like literally 24/7 service. So.
Well, and one of the things that bothers us is when Heather's team is closing down at night and they've just watched a group of nurses come up and get ready to study for an exam in the morning, and there's only 30 minutes left in the evening, and they have to tell them you've got to leave. Now we can say, but you're free to come down to the 24/7 space and complete your studying. Finals week and all of those things. Anytime we survey the community and anytime we talk to people in groups, the first or second thing they talk about is, can you increase the hours? Well, that's expensive. And so what we can do, though, is we can open up this part of the library 24/7 unstaffed. And if you respect it and you don't do a bunch of stupid stuff, maybe we open up more. So there are about 450 installations of the software in Europe. And what they've learned is that they've become self-policing. The people with the privilege don't want to give it up, and so they don't let people do
take advantage of
things and do silly stuff.
Yeah.
But the software also will monitor if someone comes in and doesn't move for 30 minutes. It sends a security alert, so you can come do a welfare check and make sure someone's not sleeping one off or something like that, or heaven forbid have a health problem. But it also, once you get your special card, if you swipe in and you've got a friend with you who doesn't, it'll say, hey, welcome to the library, Randy. I see you have somebody with you who doesn't have a card. And then you have to, tell them they've got to go until they pass. It's all about going through the orientation and learning what's allowed in the space.
So how many cards is anybody eligible to get a card as long as they get, but you only allow a certain number of people in at a time?
Only during the pandemic. After that, there is no occupancy limit on how many can be in 24/7 space.
Okay, I got you. That makes sense.
I don't think it was going to be too crazy. The worst time would be finals.
Yeah.
And we'll be busy
Yeah,
then,
because
so.
finals, I mean, these kids are in here.
Oh,
so, yeah.
we doubled the size of the place, and there'll be double the number of students in here.
Right. So.
Well, there you have it, folks. You've heard it right from the horse's mouth. David Johnson and Heather Robideau gave us the $35+ million tour. I don't know the exact figure. The exact figure of what it cost to build this space pales in comparison on the ROI of the expansion for the Fayetteville Public Library. I cannot wait for you guys to see it. Some of you that are listening to this podcast have already been inside. Some of you are going to come inside. Some of you can't wait to check it out for yourselves. And even some of you still have not been to the Fayetteville Public Library. What are you waiting for? You do not want to miss this space. There's a little bit of something for everyone there. And I really encourage you to check it out for yourself. And if you don't have kids and you haven't really spent time at the library, just make time for yourself, because I can't think of a better way to get 1% better every day, but by going to the library. So take that for what it's worth. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of I Am Northwest Arkansas. We will be back next week with another episode, and we appreciate you guys listening to the podcast on a regular basis wherever you listen to us. And remember to rate and review the podcast on iTunes or Stitcher or SoundCloud, and let us know what you think about it. We'd love to hear from you, because we're continuing to create new episodes on a regular basis that people want to hear, like this one. That's all we have for this week. We will see you soon. Peace.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of I Am Northwest Arkansas. Check us out each and every week, available anywhere that great podcasts can be found. For show notes or more information on becoming a guest, visit IamNorthwestArkansas.com. We'll see you next week on I Am Northwest Arkansas.